There is one more topic that we can't skip today, and this is artificial intelligence. It has been shining brightly on our radar for years. Each edition of the conference traces the direction our dance with algorithms has taken. Is it time for a qualification after ChatGPT has come to tell us? Markus Govas.
Thank you very much. Wow, okay. Thank you very much. And I have to say, fantastic sessions today, but right now we'll get to the cool stuff. Artificial intelligence, right? You all have been waiting for it now this, and that's my advantage. Actually, I was saying to my fellow speaker colleagues, you cannot compete, at least in terms of the title of the presentation, you cannot compete with anything that has AI in it. So here I am. And maybe, I mean, I'm really excited about AI. You will probably figure that out. Is there anyone actually who's also excited about AI and get that added into our tool set for project management? Maybe a show of hands. If there's anything really looking forward to get this into our tool set and working with this in project management. Yeah, it looks like really the majority, almost, I think, yeah. So I think ChatGPT had some influence here because this is definitely gave this whole discussion a push. And this discussion about AI and project management is actually nothing new. Me, myself, personally, I started looking into this around 2017, you know, data-driven practices, AI, then obviously. Other people obviously have started looking into this much, much earlier. But where are we? Where is AI in our project management tool set? Where is it? We haven't seen something really yet really materializing to that aspect. A lot of talking, and right now with ChatGPT, obviously, yeah, this discussion gets heated up again. But what are the reasons why we don't have that yet? Why didn't that materialize yet? And I have been speaking about this whole topic, yeah, over the last 2-3 years, also in conference settings. And I was discussing that with a lot of people. And I realized there are actually two reasons that actually kind of, or in terms of the opinions from people in relation to AI and project management. So one is, it's being seen like some sort of a dark force that comes in and takes us all hostage, and we may be actually being enslaved by robots or something, and we find ourselves in some sort of Skynet, and we are the John Connors in the underground working, please let us have a say in our projects. So this is obviously driven by fear. Not necessarily fear of the new, but fear of the unknown. Because we haven't really figured it out yet. At least it's not really, yeah, we weren't really playing around with this yet, really in action hands-on. And obviously with ChatGPT, I believe that kind of perception that will change. But then there's another view, a completely different one, which is really like, oh, AI, please come in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable, and take it all, right? I have enough. I have like a 60-hour week. I cannot take this anymore. Too many tasks. Please take it and do it for me. And we just sit back, right, on the couch and have maybe a cold beer, some snacks, right, have our remote control. Let's see what gets recommended to us in terms of insights. And I fix myself a nice little project. That sounds great, right? And this is obviously driven, and I'm sure you have seen that somewhere, by this statement from Gartner in 2019, that 80% of today's project management tasks will be taken over by AI by 2030. My question would be, what's actually with those 20%? What are we supposed to do in those 20%? Is it then really like we're just executing commands from some bots and yeah, we just don't have a say anymore? Or are we still allowed to do some thinking? You know, like workshops, brainstorming, all that kind of stuff, right? And we put our project plans together, run our agile pokers maybe, get some estimates and all that stuff. But I mean, we have to be honest. Our thinking so far has been rather limited, and we see that actually in project success rates. This is for IT projects, and before you're asking, actually, since 2015, that doesn't look really much different. So it's always around 30–40% of success rates. Not really something to be proud of, right? So there's definitely room for improvement. And it's definitely nothing that provides confidence or trust from stakeholders. In fact, actually, and there are some prominent projects, I will not name them, but it feels like something like this, where it's really like, yeah, whatever, right? Not really good for our stakeholders, and they definitely will lose their confidence, right, in our capabilities, because we are in charge. So AI, is that the solution? That's the next question, right? And it's a little bit dangerous to come from a weak position, because if we're actually having those failure rates, then it gets some feel of like some desperation. Yeah, please, as I said before, come in, take it, right? Because we don't know anymore what to do about it. And that's actually a dangerous thing. And it should not be seen as, like a robot comes in and puts the robotic hand on top of the project, and poof, all your problems solved, right? That's not going to happen, we know that. So it should not be seen as a problem solver. It should be seen as something that actually improves. So it may automate things. We all know, I mean, we all heard about what AI can do, so automation is one thing, obviously, but it will not resolve fundamental problems in the project management space. And in fact, it's not about AI altogether, not to make our project successful. It is about, and I think it was mentioned actually earlier, I think in the panel round, it is about us, the people, to actually make methods and techniques and technology, make it work for us to improve our capabilities. We will not hand over anything to anything or anyone. It's us actually who need improvement, and we actually need something like this to help us, but not just handing over stuff, but actually to improve our own capabilities. To illustrate that a little bit more, there was one real great invention that we're all familiar with, which is a calculator. Very nice little gadget. What was the intention when they invented this? To automate human tasks. The pen and paper exercise. Makes everything faster, easier, right? But it came with a very neat side effect, because we started to think or understand mathematical concepts. We started to understand how to input data. We started to think analytically. And we actually developed our problem-solving skills. And we use it, obviously, as to check, because we are usually led by illusions more often, to check actually what's actually going on in our mind. Are we actually correct? So we also learn from our mistakes, kind of. So it was made to automate human tasks, but actually triggered or developed more our thinking and our human capabilities. So bringing this back to AI, obviously, that leads me to ChatGPT, cannot avoid this topic. And ChatGPT is nothing that runs on its own. It's not like we buy something off the shelf, put it into our project management stuff, and here, please do, right? We have to ask questions. We have to do thinking. It requires input. So here I got curious. I asked ChatGPT, what are the 10 most asked questions to ChatGPT by people? Well, get this. What is the meaning of life? What is love? I mean, can you go any broader than this? I mean, it's really deep, and I'm not sure what kind of answers people would expect there. I mean, there will come up some fluff, right? But nothing really precise or actionable in a way. And that's obviously what we want in project management. I mean, it can be, fair enough, it can be like thought-provoking. You get something and then you think about this, right? But in terms of really detailed actionable responses, you will not get this. So right now, project management, what about this? What is project? Okay, first of all, I have to say that the question was probably interpreted the way, what are the 10 most asked questions related to project management? Because look at the first one. What is project management and why is it important? I think we can answer that question, right? Yeah, I mean, if there's anyone in the room here that doesn't know what project management is, you're probably in the wrong conference. Maybe you go, I mean, maybe the next door is one that maybe talks about the meaning of life, and then maybe you belong there. So we need thinking, and we need better questions to get something real precise. Asking the right questions to really get some better responses back. The better the questions, the better the responses. But that's actually a skill that needs to be developed. So by you actually using ChatGPT and really have a conversation, you're developing skills. You're developing your questioning skills, which was also mentioned earlier. Questioning skills nowadays are really, really important. And also to make the right interpretations and not just making something up. So it requires really investment in those skills to engage with data in the end, or we make just wrong conclusions. So again, it is not AI that will actually improve project outcomes, but actually the skills and the knowledge of people to make really best use of methods and technology and whatever we have in our tool set. And that's the most important thing. And those skills, there will be, or are already, highly in demand. 25 million new project professionals are needed by 2030. Well, wait a second. We had Gartner saying 80% of our activities are taken over by AI by 2030. So naturally, you would expect, like, there's less demand in project management professionals. Quite the opposite, way more. It's growing. So why is that? I mean, it's clear that and it was also mentioned several times, right? The VUCA world, we live in an age of rapid change, disruption, everything is happening like this, right? And obviously because of this rapid and fast pace, there's a higher demand for projects. But there's also a demand for a new skill set. So the future project management professional is actually sensing opportunities, becoming like technology and data savvy. And I don't mean it in the technical sense. It means really like looking broader and really making sense out of the surroundings. I always refer to this like, before we were actually on a boat, just actually in a machine room, just making sure that the machine is still running, but we don't really know where it's actually running. We have to get back to the bridge and really make sure that we sense where we're going, especially nowadays where change is happening way more often, much faster than before. So direction can change quite a lot, and we have to know where we're heading to. And that means we have to question more. We have to experiment more. We have to innovate more. And we have to think and learn more. And these are all skills that are required to unlock AI skills or AI capabilities. And all this falls under the roof of data literacy. So there's a need to invest in data literacy. And really, it is regardless of AI, or if you want to become data-driven, anything, because this improves questioning skills. No. To improve our problem-solving capabilities and make informed decisions ultimately. Critical thinking. Really think about what we are doing. We have a lot of mental models in our head, right? Many people that actually do some 20% contingency reserve on top of whatever they come up with in terms of estimates. I've seen that quite a lot. Why are we doing this? Is this just like, oh, because I was told so, or it just worked always like this, right? This is the usual answer, right? But we have to question more because things are changing much faster than before. And that's really important that we do some critical think about ourselves and obviously also about others. We need creativity, we need to experiment, and it's rather experimenting with the unknown. We live obviously in an age with increasing uncertainty, so we have to experiment more and then seek opportunities therein. And data literacy, unfortunately, is always seen as something, yeah, this is something for IT teams, or I'm not a numbers person, or what else? This is like data science, right? I'm not a data scientist, stuff like this. Forget about all this. It has nothing to, I mean, it has to do with it, digital data, obviously, but it's not only this. There's much more. You have to sense things. Right now that I'm talking to you, I'm throwing data at you. You're looking at the screen, you're looking at data. You talk to each other, you're exchanging data. It's all data. And we have to just make sense of the world, which is rapidly changing constantly, and then feed that into our projects and whatever decisions we're making informed decisions. So we have to invest in data literacy. Here's an example where it didn't work. Sears used to be a successful retailer in the US. And in 2010, I think it was, or at the beginning of the 2010s, they invested heavily in data technology, AI, data-driven practices, and it didn't take off. It didn't work because they completely missed investing in people skills. So we come always back to people. They missed that opportunity because they forgot to invest in people skills. What happened? You know, decision-making processes, they were just done the same old way, and nothing what supposed to be data-driven actually was data-driven. And that contributed also to the downfall of Sears. I think in 2018 they filed for bankruptcy. And data literacy, and this is something which, I mean, if we are honest, I was saying data literacy sets you free. What do I mean by this? If we are honest to ourselves, we are just a bunch of liars in project management. We lie a lot. I mean, sorry my language, but our project status reports are just full of shit. It's just nonsense, right? Most of the time, I'm not saying always, but it's something what we usually know as fake news, fake data. It's just made up stuff to protect ourselves, or because we are afraid, right, of something, or we're just driven by the organizational structure to actually come up with something like this. And they're often like subtle lies. Ever the truth is heavily stretched. More often, project status reports is one example, but we're definitely not disclosing everything. So there's a missing transparency, another word that was mentioned several times today. And data literacy helps to get to better identify misinformation and also to develop that transparency and enforce basically transparency and truthfulness in an organization and in projects specifically. So it drives a data culture, which makes sense, right? Because What do we want in the end from AI and from data-driven practices? It should give us insights, which is based on data. Who is producing the data? We are. We produce nonsense, you get back nonsense. Garbage in, garbage out. That's basically the concept that applies here. So if we don't really are transparent or truthful, it will simply not work. So you're basically forced for your own benefit to become more transparent and truthful. And as project leaders, we actually should make that example, right? Or go by example and being more authentic, more transparent, admit our mistakes that we are making so other people are actually following and that they're actually telling the truth. But make no mistake, right? The truth can be really tough. So if you're just setting this up yourself to your team, please say all the truth, and you may get something back that you didn't expect. But it's the only way to really get this back on track and really be prepared for the future, and especially to get some stuff like ChatGPT or AI, those concepts, anything that is data-driven, basically. And you will get eventually a much broader view. You will get diversity of insights just by doing that. And what's the benefit of this? You get a much broader view, of course, but it also will develop your intuition. So it helps us really to, just a variety of things, it helps us to sharpen our intuition. It's like playing chess, right? Or learning to play chess. I mean, you can learn it, right? But you will obviously always get better. There are like millions of different moves on the chessboard, and as soon as you actually experience those and are exposed to this, then you actually become better. Your intuition skills will develop. And it's similar like you get to a supermarket, right? We know what we do there, right? If you have never been to a supermarket before, you will be completely lost and overwhelmed. What is going on here, right? But we obviously develop over time this experience and intuition, and we go and we just know that we don't even think about this anymore. We know what we're doing because that has been developed. So you get more variety of scenarios. You are being exposed to a lot of different data setups and different directions, let's say. You obviously develop this further. And ultimately, what I'm trying to say is data literacy is basically the journey. You don't have to become AI-based. You know, coming back to an earlier slide that I have shown, AI is not always the solution. It ultimately will kick in project management, of course. But just the journey, going through this, becoming data literate, that will lift your own skills quite a bit, actually. So you will be really, really benefiting from this just by going through this exercise. And AI, of course, it will kick in and it will complement our own skills, our own capabilities, right? So I said there, it can assist with repetitive tasks, administrative tasks, all the stuff that we heard already in many other sessions or read about this, right? But the process of working towards this is just as valuable. And I think this is the most important thing because it's actually even much more important than getting to AI or getting to data-driven. You have to actually lift up your own skills to actually not only support this, but lift our own capabilities. It always comes back to the people aspect that we mentioned multiple times today. So it's not just about reaching the destination, and certainly AI will help to bring our projects or improve the project performance that we're having, right? It will ultimately also help the organization to actually deliver change on time, on budget, and on scope, etc., and basically achieve the strategic goals, right? But another thing that shouldn't be forgotten is that it also will lift our human capabilities. And that's just by taking this journey, you can actually achieve this. if you want to learn more about this, this is actually a book that I've written in terms of data-driven practices from a more cultural, behavioral point of view. And actually, I have 5 copies or 6 copies with me. I give it away for free for whoever is interested. So please contact me right after if you're interested. And yeah, if you want to continue the discussion, if that has some interest in you, please connect with me on LinkedIn or just come to me right after. So I will be obviously have some networking opportunities later on. So I'm here and would be happy to actually have that or answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.